Every day, hundreds of thousands of patrolmen report for duty, armed with a badge and the latest in video technology. You are about to witness their never-before-seen footage, their stories caught on tape.
Legarski, bring me the taser. Whoa!
A stolen sports car versus a semi. A bat versus a blowtorch. An officer fights for his life. Suspects run for their lives. And a lesson on what not to do when approached by police. Disorderly conduct is locked, loaded, and ready to roll. TV news helicopter looks on as a stolen Corvette with a flat tire challenges police to a speed duel near Phoenix, Arizona. Even with a blown tire, the driver still hits speeds of more than 70 miles per hour along the interstate. But police get a helping hand thanks to some big rigs ahead of the chase as they try to slow down the suspect. It works. The speeding Corvette loses control and slams into the rear of a barely moving tractor-trailer. Even more incredible is what happens to the driver. As the car disintegrates, he is thrown clear of the wreckage and lands in a sitting-up position. Officers approach the suspect with guns drawn and handcuff him on the ground. He is charged with auto theft and felony flight, but he's beaten some incredible odds, suffering only minor injuries in a horrific crash. Police believe the driver of this SUV has been involved in a home invasion robbery, and they try to bring him in. From 2 dashboard cameras, we follow their pursuit across Ann Arbor, Michigan. Up ahead, police set up a spike strip, sometimes called stop sticks. He dodges the spike strip, and the pursuit continues. Suddenly, he crosses 3 lanes to merge onto another freeway. Other police units join the pursuit on the crowded road.
They've got the freeway basically shut down, and they do. You should be approaching it shortly here.
It's a plan to set up another spike strip. The suspect tries to escape the wrong way down an on-ramp, but a quick-thinking officer blocks his path. One officer tries to force him to the shoulder, but his squad car is no match for the SUV. The squad car crashes into the back of this semi. Moments later, the suspect's off the freeway. An officer forces him onto the grass. But still, the SUV prevails. A second officer performs the pit maneuver, or precision immobilization technique, twice before successfully spinning him out. Other officers quickly block him in. That's good news for all the officers involved in this very dangerous chase. The suspect is put in the patrol car, where he has some choice words for his captor. Now he faces charges of eluding police, larceny, home invasion, and assault with intent to murder. A stolen pickup leads LAPD officers at high speeds across the San Fernando Valley. LA is the car chase capital of the world, and officers are highly trained. But any pursuit can quickly turn deadly dangerous. Cops believe Officer Michael Scott, who is behind the wheel, swerved to avoid an innocent motorist. He loses control at nearly 60 miles an hour. That's Officer Kelly Leaphart, trapped in the wreckage with Officer Scott. Firemen use the jaws of life to free them. It's a long task. They free Officer Scott first. He is taken to the hospital and treated for cuts and bruises. The passenger side of the patrol car where Officer Leaphart was sitting takes the brunt of the impact and has the most damage. She sustains a broken leg. Cops catch both suspects in the truck later. They face charges of hit and run, driving without the owner's consent, and felony evading. Officer Leaphart makes a full recovery. Next on Disorderly Conduct. There's one question for a man who tries a holdup with a blowtorch.
Crazy? Yeah, hang on.
And meet the deadly lady in red.
Whoa, stop.
Run for cover. There's more Disorderly Conduct right ahead. It's a convenience store in the seashore community of Encinitas, California. Clerk Eric Piva is outside in the parking lot when a customer strolls in.
And he looked kind of weird because he had this floppy hat on, he had these mirror shades on, and had a bag carrying, he was carrying a bag.
Piva returns to the store where the strange-looking man makes an even stranger request.
Load it. Load it. Load it what? With money. Crazy? Yeah, hang on.
A closer look shows that the man pulls a small blowtorch out of the bag.
As soon as he pulled it out, I was thinking, oh my, it's time for a beating.
In this case, the customer isn't always right.
Load yourself.
Piva grabs a club and attacks the man. He responds by igniting the blowtorch. But Piva is undeterred, and he chases the blowtorch bandit to the parking lot.
I got him with his club, and he ran out the door like a chicken.
But the gutsy clerk isn't done with him yet. Outside, Piva grabs a chair and continues to swing at the would-be thief. You can see that the blowtorch is still lit as Piva throws the chair. Seconds later, the frustrated suspect heaves his blowtorch and retreats to his car. But Piva just won't quit. He picks up the chair and still tries to stop the suspect as he leaves. The man ends up getting away. But the store didn't lose any money, and the blowtorch bandit didn't keep his weapon. As for Eric Piva, he's keeping the torch as a souvenir, and he has some advice for future thieves who might come into his store.
Well, next time anyone tries to rob this place, come back, please. We'll take care of you.
This is Kenosha, Wisconsin. The perfect pit maneuver spins out the car, but does not stop the chase. That's the first pit. Now the suspect picks up speed after refusing to pull over for a traffic violation. The officer tries to bump the car from behind to knock it out of control. The suspect continues to run. The officer tries the pit again. The car spins out. Another police unit makes sure he isn't going anywhere. The perpetrator has no license, and he has outstanding warrants for jumping bail and battery. Now he adds fleeing from police to his rap sheet.
Please pull your vehicle into the parking lot.
You know what your driver's license is, sir?
No, sir, I just trying to do it.
It's a suspected drunk driving stop in Winter Park, Florida.
You don't have any identification? Whose truck is this?
That's mine.
The officers getting more and more suspicious.
Do you have your insurance card? You have your wallet with you?
No, sir, I'm all wet.
How'd you get all wet?
I was working the sprinkler system.
Sprinkler system? Where'd all those ice cubes come from? Excuse me, ma'am. How you doing?
Okay.
You know what this gentleman's name is?
It's the man's passenger who will soon get these officers' undivided attention.
Robert what?
He's my husband.
Oh, he's your husband? What's that you got there in the can? Oh, those Budweisers? Oh, it's Bush.
Another one fell out on the road.
Okay, there's a bunch of them in here.
The truck is full of beer cans.
I'm detecting a strong odor of an alcoholic beverage on your breath, which leads me to believe you may be drinking tonight. So if you would, I need for you to do a few tests for me, okay? Okay, sir. Hey, you want to turn around and walk back up here, please? Okay.
The tests don't go well. But suddenly, everything takes a terrifying turn for the worse.
Hold that position. Whoa!
That's the wife with a gun in her hand.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Leah 44, drop the gun! She's armed. Whoa!
The drunk passenger waves the gun threateningly at the cops as they run for cover.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
This is a very dangerous situation. The officers yell at the male suspect.
Get down!
Then in a drunken stupor, the armed woman just wanders off.
Where's she at? She's going around the building. Get down.
The officer cuffs the driver as reinforcements arrive.
I didn't do nothing.
Here. Get down.
Other officers surround the woman nearby.
Where's she at?
Then, in all the confusion, the driver stumbles away, still handcuffed.
You see another guy around here?
I didn't want to come out.
Still handcuffed?
Yeah.
Which way did he go?
The officer radios in his description.
My initial 1015 I had handcuffed is heading behind the white or red shirt on.
Finally, the man and woman are caught and booked. The couple face a number of charges, including driving under the influence, grand theft auto,
Whoa!
possession of a stolen handgun, and aggravated assault against a police officer. But this situation could have been much, much worse.
Whoa!
A stolen car travels at 70 miles an hour through the crowded streets of Los Angeles. There are 3 occupants in this car. One is 12, and the other 2 just 13 years old. They head down LA's narrow Melrose Avenue. With children in charge of a car at 70 miles an hour on a busy street. That was predictable. These LAPD officers handcuff all 3 juveniles. The driver of the black Porsche they hit sits on the curb. He's treated for minor injuries at the scene. The 3 girls are taken to the hospital. That means the driver could face an assault with a deadly weapon charge, as well as driving without the owner's consent, failure to yield, and felony evading. They may be minors, but they caused major damage to cars, property, and people. Next, on a red-hot disorderly conduct, a dangerous pursuit goes up in flames.
He's on fire, back off.
And a man in shorts who's not giving up without a fight. There's much more irresistible, disorderly conduct coming up.
156, Beaumont. I got one running.
It's a police pursuit just outside of Beaumont, Texas. Officers first tried to give the driver a ticket, but since he refuses to stop, they suspect he's guilty of a lot more than just a simple traffic violation. Sheriff Sergeant Greg Fountain is the lead officer in the high-speed chase.
We continued at speed reaching 110 miles an hour, heading into Beaumont.
As Sergeant Fountain calls for more backup, he can see there are two men in the vehicle. It isn't long before the veteran officer spots something flying out of the car.
They're throwing the dope out the window at this time.
They were throwing what appeared to be rocks of crack cocaine out the window. They were actually hitting the windshield of my patrol car.
By now, police units from throughout Jefferson County close in on the chase. Just ahead, officers make plans to puncture the car's tires.
Okay, put down spikes.
The spikes do what they're supposed to do and tear holes in one of the tires.
All right, he hit 101.
Moments later, smoke can be seen coming from the front left wheel well. As another unit moves ahead of them, chunks of rubber hit the highway.
He just lost the front left tire.
The driver refuses to stop, even though he's operating on 3 tires and surrounded by squad cars. It isn't long before sparks pour out from under the front left rim. Seconds later, the engine catches fire and flames erupt.
He's on fire. He's on fire. Back off.
Unbelievably, the burning vehicle keeps going for another 27 seconds before it crashes into a ditch. Stunned officers rush to the scene.
We couldn't believe that these guys were not coming out of the vehicle. I ran up to the vehicle to jerk the door open, thinking that they must be injured or something for them not to come out.
Sergeant Fountain and his fellow officers risk their lives and pull the suspects out. Moments later, the car explodes in flames. The suspects escape injury, but they don't escape the law. The 2 men are quickly arrested and charged with felony evading. As for Sergeant Fountain, he's never seen a pursuit quite like this one, and he'll be happy if he never does again.
That's why we became police officers and not firefighters, because we don't care for fire that much.
A suspected drunk driver is stopped in Warner Robins, Georgia.
Sir, stay back here for me a second. Usually when somebody drives on the yellow line, it's a sign that they may be impaired.
When the trooper pats the man down, he spots a suspicious bulge in his pocket. Suddenly, the driver takes off. As the fight continues onto the road, the trooper's partner joins in the struggle. Even though he's outnumbered, the suspect gets away. But his freedom won't last long. Besides leaving his shoes behind, he also leaves his driver's license. Later, officers simply go to the address on the license and arrest the man. It turns out that bulge in his pocket was 2 ounces of cocaine. He's later convicted on possession of illegal drugs with intention to sell.
Custer County, 1052. 1052.
Broken Bow, Nebraska.
Okay.
This cop pulls over a suspect who he believes broke into a house just hours ago.
East of the Hospital Road. Possible suspect involved in B&E.
The suspect left a note for his girlfriend threatening to take his own life. The cop identified the van, but he needs an ID to connect the suspect to the crime.
Could I see your operator's license and registration, please? Yes, sir. I'll tell you that after I get your license. Sir, I asked to see your operator's license, and I'd like to see it now, please.
But it's not gonna come easy.
Sir? 405 in pursuit. 405 in pursuit. Ohio van, northbound Airport Road, 8590 miles an hour, 8590.
The driver takes it up to 100 miles an hour and swerves onto the other side of the road. Now, the suspect decides to end the chase his own way. The van actually picks up speed before slamming into those trees.
Custer County, 405 desires ambulance. Hey, buddy, you okay?
Remarkably, the driver is still alive.
Rescue 10 and 28 are en route.
The patrolman takes on the role of rescuer.
Subject is conscious. Heavy bleeding, heavy bleeding.
As the paramedics arrive, the patrolman fills them in.
I wanted to question him on breaking into a house. I think he wanted to commit suicide. I read a note where he did, but man, did he fly.
This officer saved a life today. Despite the suspect's intentions.
Yes, he is.
Coming up, a suspect's guilty of serious disorderly conduct at high speed on a jet ski at night.
He's going right towards the dock. I don't think he sees it.
These guys run for their lives when this SUV gets way too hot to handle. More explosive, disorderly conduct is next. Brevard County, Florida. A suspect on a stolen jet ski is trying to outsmart the law. But a police chopper outfitted with a FLIR infrared camera is able to track his every move.
He is leaving in the jet ski. Yeah, he's taking off. He is fleeing.
The suspect pulls away, full throttle, trying to shake the police. But remember, he's jet skiing in the dark, and his night vision isn't nearly as good as the pilot in the chopper.
He's going right towards the dock. I don't think he sees it. Hang on. Ooh. Yeah, he's going to hit that dock. Nope.
At the last second, the jet ski veers away from disaster. But the suspect isn't done running.
All right, y'all signal forwarded. He's heading back out towards the river now.
He heads for a remote section of the shoreline.
Yeah, he's in a canal now. He's following the canal line west.
But the FLIR stays right on him as the pilot guides officers on the ground to the suspect.
He's in a abandoned jet ski and going on foot, it looks like, in this wooded area right here that we're over. He's running on foot. He's running westbound through the woods between the house under construction and the house just to the south of you. He's at the wall right now. Right there, you got it. You're confronting.
It's a precision arrest as a canine unit intercepts the suspect who surrenders immediately.
All right, suspect is on the ground. Stand by.
A perfect example of cooperation between police units on the ground and in the air, with the help of infrared technology and a dog. An officer races to join the pursuit of a stolen pickup truck in Hillsborough, New Hampshire. But he's stuck behind this 18-wheeler on a 2-lane road. He can't pass the truck because of oncoming traffic, and the truck can't find a safe place to pull over. The officer is headed north, and he knows the stolen pickup is headed east into his direction. He's trying desperately to get around the semi so he can cut off the pickup at the next intersection. Finally, the semi finds a safe place to pull over, but that's just when the suspect flies through the intersection. The pickup's driver doesn't even brake as he slams into the semi. No one is injured, and the suspect is quickly arrested. In addition to charges of vehicle theft and evading arrest, he'll also have to pay for the damage he caused.
Well, look at that. Extremely dangerous. He's on the wrong side of Alameda.
Inside this white SUV are 4 young men who have just held up a public storage facility near Los Angeles.
And the suspect has been driving at speeds of roughly 60 to 70 miles an hour.
In addition, they shot at a witness who tried to follow them.
Look at that, he gets up on the curb.
They drive up a sidewalk and knock over a street sign. The chase continues along an LA freeway.
The way this guy's driving, he's a nut. It's incredible that he hasn't caused more damage.
Suddenly, a piece of lumber flies out of the back of the SUV.
Hey, did you see that?
Moments later, it happens again and again. Soon, the effects of the earlier sign collision begin to show. The tire begins to shred rubber onto the freeway. And before long, it bursts into flames. With officers in hot pursuit, the SUV rolls to a stop. But this drama is far from over. Wads of cash come flying out the back as the suspects try to dump evidence right in front of the cops. Then, black smoke begins to envelop the SUV. Inside, the temperature rises by the second. Facing both a car fire and the possibility of gunfire, they finally decide enough is enough and run onto the freeway. Then, the SUV explodes into flames.
Tank just went on this thing.
The young men are charged with felony evading, robbery, and assault with a firearm. They receive sentences ranging from 7 to 14 years in state prison. But the men probably got off lucky. If they had stayed in the SUV a few moments longer, they could have paid a much higher price. Up next on Disorderly Conduct, horror on the highway. And this drunk comes out swinging. There's much more arresting disorderly conduct straight ahead. There's a crash on Ohio's Interstate 71. This highway patrolman is pulling up to his fellow officer. He's totally unaware that danger barrels down the highway towards him. Everyone is on the hard shoulder on this Richland County highway. And they should be safely out of harm's way. But no one is safe when there's a speeding, skidding car aimed right at you. A split second before the horrifying impact, the trooper hears something and glances up. He misses certain death by inches. He's injured, but on the bottom right of the picture, you can see him moving. Passers-by stop to help the fallen officer and the other victims. At least the officer is conscious. Others check on the occupants of the wrecked white car as steam pours out from its smashed engine. A Good Samaritan takes off her jacket to keep the injured officer warm until an ambulance arrives. Looking at the incredible destruction again makes the news that everyone survived with only minor injuries even more miraculous. In Huntsville, Texas, police arrive on the scene to find a man standing in the middle of a busy street, and he appears to be heavily intoxicated.
Let me see your ID right now. No. Let me see your ID. No. What's anyone?
As Officer David O'Rear approaches, the suspect takes a swing at him. It's not a good move. The belligerent suspect continues to ignore the officer's commands, and for some strange reason, he starts to strip.
Get on the ground now! Legarski, bring me the taser, 500 block 11.
Another officer arrives with a taser in hand and wastes little time putting it to use.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Despite taking 50,000 volts from the taser, the suspect continues to fight. So they shock him again.
Pop him again! Get on your back!
The second jolt from the taser does the job.
Roll over, roll over.
Police finally get the suspect under control.
Put your hand behind your back.
This drunken rage leads to a variety of charges, including assault on a public servant, obstructing a highway, and resisting arrest. Not to mention one big headache when he wakes up in the morning. Police are chasing a stolen van in Van Alstyne, Texas. The suspect tries some dangerous high-speed maneuvers to shake the pursuit.
He's on the shoulder now, passenger driver, come right.
The officer in the lead pursuit car is advised to keep a safe distance.
I think you're a little close. If he hits one of those, you're going to get him. Yeah, I'll back off.
The suspect decides to take his chances off the interstate, speeding up the ramp at 60 miles an hour.
Here, guys, we're taking the only plan for 120.
But at the top of that hill, a red light and an unsuspecting driver are about to cross right in front of the desperate suspect. Another few inches and this chase is over. But the suspect is still running, and everyone in his path is still in danger. Headed back on the freeway, the suspect takes an off-road detour. He ends up on an access road, but finally loses control. He's arrested and charged with theft, evading arrest, and reckless driving.
Anybody else in the van?
Also recovered from the van are several stolen paintings, and sometime later, the suspect's shoes.
No. Come on, man, I need shoes. You don't need no shoes where you're going. This is Texas, man. You won't get out for a while.
There were some close calls, but fortunately for everyone else on the road, the only collision in this dangerous chase was with a road sign. Coming up on disorderly conduct. He's got speed, he's got sparks, he's got no steering, and a field sobriety test that will knock you off your feet.
2001, 2002.
No one can do that, even if you're completely sober.
Okay. I think you're going to hurt yourself.
A hit-and-run suspect tries to outrun Los Angeles police. Officers say he caused this earlier accident in which 2 motorists were injured. The reported crash blew out his front tire, and now sparks spray everywhere as he flees. Without a tire, there's no traction. And as the driver quickly discovers, that makes it nearly impossible to turn. The suspect misses a right turn and slams into a concrete wall. LAPD units swarm the scene and call an ambulance. But medical aid won't be required, thanks to the driver's airbag. The suspect is taken into custody. And fortunately, the motorists he hit earlier all survived. Police officers in Stark, Florida, observe a silver Dodge driving erratically and try to pull it over. The suspect, with 2 passengers in the car, tries almost anything to shake the pursuit. He commits just about every violation in the book. And he swerves around spike strips laid out by officers ahead of the chase. At a busy intersection, he dodges stopped traffic and runs a red light. He blows by more traffic to run a second light. At the 3rd red light, he tries something different and pulls a U-turn. He fights off an attempt by another officer to force him off the road. It's only a matter of time before it comes to a bad ending. The suspect passes a cement truck, but he has to get back in his lane quickly to avoid another truck headed straight at him. He careens out of control and off the road. As the car flips several times. The suspect and 1 passenger, a young woman, have been ejected from the car. A 3rd young man in the front passenger seat leaps out. But he's quickly put under arrest. All 3 occupants of the car survived this terrifying crash. And the charges show that this driver had little cause to be on the road at all, driving with a suspended license, no registration, no insurance, and multiple moving violations, including reckless driving, to put it mildly. It's a snowy night in Cleveland, Ohio, and this driver appears to be intoxicated. So the officer pulls him over.
Done pretty bad there.
I would.
Yeah, you hit the curb right here. Just come on to Columbus Street. Let's come over here so you don't get hit. Okay.
There's a car right behind me.
The lights flashing? That was me. Oh.
The more the man talks, the drunker he sounds.
Where you coming from?
To tell you the truth, I don't really know. I had a couple drinks today.
Mixed drinks or beer or?
No, I had 2 beers and a shot.
Trying to avoid a ticket, the guy tells the cop his sob story.
I helped direct the daycare. If I were to get a DUI or anything like that, basically shut me out of everything.
Okay.
I can do any test you want me to do.
Okay, what's what I'm going to have you do is do a couple tests here for me, okay?
The officer administers some field sobriety tests.
Are you ready?
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah. You ready?
Go ahead.
2001, 2002, 2002. 2004, 2005.
Gotta stick your leg out like that, okay?
You ready?
Go ahead. Easy.
Can I stand on the road?
Yeah, if you want to.
1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Wait, this isn't fair.
What isn't fair?
No one can do that, even if you're completely sober.
Okay. I think you're going to hurt yourself if we do that one anymore, okay? Let's go to the next one.
Things go from bad to worse.
Look, easy. Don't fall down there. Don't fall. Don't fall. Okay. Gotta keep out traffic there.
Keep in mind, this man was behind the wheel of a car less than 20 minutes ago.
Okay. That's good enough, okay? You're gonna hurt yourself.
No, I won't.
I'm pretty sure you're going to if you keep walking.
The officer has seen enough.
You're under arrest for DUI. Don't do that.
Okay.
The man pleads to be let go.
Do my whole life up. Please don't do this. Please don't.
Hopefully for his sake, he'll learn a valuable lesson.
Don't turn this you out. I do my whole life up.
We're going to, okay?
Cherry Sunday.
Get ready for the new Slammin' Saturday night. It's locked, loaded, and aimed straight at your bloodshot eyes.
Get the away from me.
With 5 hours of destruction, pain, mayhem, and action.
I'm gonna smash your little head.
Guaranteed to rock and shock you back to life. I can't even describe what I'm seeing. The new, ever more painful Slammin' Saturday night. The Hurt hits home Saturday, starting at 7.
Coming at you!
Wear a cup, only on Spike.